Is it the big Bharat Jodo irony? They want to unite the country, but is the opposition united at all? Joining me on this broadcast, spokesperson of the BJP, Shaina NC, spokesperson of the Congress Party, Sujata Paul, also with me. TMC spokesperson Manojit Mandal and consulting editor of First Post, Arun Anand, join us on this broadcast. But I'd like to begin by asking Sujata Paul of the Congress Party, how do you read the fact that 23 parties, like-minded parties, were invited by the Congress Party today for the grand finale in Srinagar? Only 4 turned up. Sujata Paul?
Yes, I couldn't get your question.
Yes, Ms. Paul, I was asking, how does the Congress Party read the fact that 23 like-minded parties were invited for the grand finale today, but only 4 turned up?
The point is, what is the Bharat Jodo Yatra about? The Bharat Jodo Yatra seeks to unite people, society, and remove the fear that has been put into them by the BJP RSS. And that is what the purpose is. You know, I was listening to this entire introduction that you gave, and it was about a strike rate of the Congress Party. It was almost as if talking about elections. No, this was not about elections. Of course, we are a political party and we will talk about elections. But when we go out to unite people, it is because we represent people. And we are the principal opposition party. We are here to ensure that people rid themselves of the fear, of the hate, the divisive politics that has been spread by the Bharatiya Janata Party. As far as our leader Rahul Gandhi is concerned, he has walked the talk. I remember I was on a program with one of your anchors on your channel when the BJP spokesperson had said that, after 4-5 days, the yatra will be left by Rahul Gandhi ji. No. The yatra was completed and the Bharatiya Janata Party is rattled because the Bharatiya Janata Party has no answers for anything. The Bharatiya Janata Party has no answers for the young who are out on the streets today. They have no answers for what is happening in Joshimath. They have no answers for anybody asking them questions because they want everybody to keep quiet because this is a government of crony capitalists. But keep the Bharat Jodo Yatra aside from politics, even though we are a political party. We stand for the country and we will fight this ideology. This ideology of hate and divisiveness is being understood by people and people are gathering courage to speak up against it.
Sure.
You know, nothing happens fast. Everything happens gradually and that is what the BJP has never understood. That's why today I'm sitting in Nagaland and I'm seeing the kind of development that has happened under the BJP alliance rule. There are no roads and that's why it's taken me so much time to reach you. That's why the connectivity is going up again and again. So against that, we might be moving slowly, but we will unite the country, rid themselves of the fear, and bring back India to its glory.
Sure, Ms. Paul, before I get in the other panelists, I just want to ask you this. You say the motive of Bharat Jodo was not political at all, but you say that this has been a great success. And like I mentioned in my introduction as well, it has caught the imagination of the country. It has been making headlines for one reason or the other. But it has caught the imagination of the country. Are you saying that you do not expect the success of this yatra or the popularity of the yatra and Rahul Gandhi to translate into votes?
Absolutely not. That is exactly what I'm saying, that we are a party, we are a political party and our business is politics. But when you talk about the country, to get the people together, because giving governance comes later. First, it is democracy which should be established. First, people should be made aware, the fear factor should go. They should rid themselves of the hate that is being pumped into the public by the BJP because we are a diverse nation and that is what we have done and definitely this will translate into votes as well. But Bharat Jodo Yatra seeks to unite the people of this country against the hate politics of BJP.
Sure. Shaina NC, the Congress says that this was not political. Well, of course, if the dividends are political that translate into votes, great. It's a bonus. But that wasn't what the Congress was out to do. They say they speak for the country, as Sujata Paul was also saying, that they speak for the people of this country. Now, many in this country, like me, would like to believe that the parliament of our country is the place where the Aam Aadmi of this country would expect their representatives to speak for them. Now, the budget session begins tomorrow. Today, we had an all-party meeting that was held by the government, which is protocol, happens ahead of every single session. But we didn't have the Congress representation there.
is it a Congress Todo Yatra or a Bharat Jodo Yatra? I mean, you look at the internal politics, even of the Congress party, they send out invitations to 23 political parties, and their credibility is such that not even 4 turn up. Now, if you want to agitate, you want to take to the streets, you want to do a yatra, absolutely, you're a political party, nobody's questioning that. But as a political activist, I want to question, in Gujarat, what did you see? After 27 years, the Bharatiya Janata Party's vote share has gone up by 4%, which is unprecedented. 32 years to be ruling in a state in any part of the country is unheard of. It's unheard of world over. This is the kind of popularity of Prime Minister Modi. Sadly, we don't need a certificate from the Congress party, which is diminished to a regional party. You have regional parties which are in better position today than the Congress. So what are they talking about? Let them soul search, let them introspect, let them think they are reaching out to the youth. The youth has been attracted to Prime Minister Modi, and that's why you see victory after victory. And do not forget, the states, the 9 states that go to polls will be a random testing ground for political parties that believe that they are able to establish a vote bank, and they have done nothing but decrease their vote share. The Bharatiya Janata Party has consistently, under Prime Minister Modi, been able to show people that we're here to give you development, we're here to give you sustainability. And as far as the Northeast is concerned, the first time the infrastructure of the Northeast also, and the Northeast have voted as an integral part of India to show their referendum to the Bharatiya Janata Party, because they know the kind of work done. Yojanas are not just for talking, whether it's an Ayushman Bharat, whether it's a Jan Dhan Yojana, Mudra Banking, Ujjwala, have reached the poorest of poor. So we are here to pander to the people of India, and not to do theatrics and walk around like a Forrest Gump and believe that, oh, I have been able to attract people. Good luck to you if you feel that is your strategy. But where is the vision plan? And the vision plan of the Bharatiya Janata Party is established in terms of trial tested. And this is the age of politics of performance. If you perform, you will continue to succeed. If you don't, you will perish. Unfortunately, we have a magical swan and a magical word in Narendra Modi ji, which has resonated with the youth, the women, every caste, creed, community that we look at. And I think in the days to come, the Bharatiya Janata Party will be a case study world over to show why people are voting and voting repeatedly.
So the BJP is definitely not deterred by what the Congress says, whether it's about the popularity of Rahul Gandhi or Bharat Jodo Yatra is concerned, or whether or not it translates into votes come 2024 or in the near future, the 9 state elections. But Manojit Mandal, I want to come to you now. The Congress says that they are the principal opposition party. Now the TMC, many others, including the BRS, would also like to believe that Congress's footprint is slowly dwindling. Would the opposition, including the TMC, then band together under the leadership of the Congress party?
No, first of all, to correct your information about skipping this particular meet, Trinamool Congress, All India Trinamool Congress was not invited. That's point number 1. It has been made amply clear by our very honorable General Secretary, Mr. Abhishek Banerjee. So it's not the question of skipping the meet or not. We were not invited. Why we were not invited? Only the Congress party will be able to tell. Coming back to the question of the principal opposition party, at this point in time, if you look at the demography of the country, or the pattern of vote shares, or how much we are holding on to our vote share, there is not a single political party which can actually single-handedly challenge BJP. We can claim that we have challenged BJP, which is a fact of history. They tried their best to dislodge us, Aapki Baat 200 Par, all those big sloganeering by 2 of the most apparently powerful men in Asia, Mr. Shah and Mr. Modi, but they could not manage to get even 100 seats. They were under 80. Now, we are not saying that Trinamool Congress is the only political party who can actually dislodge BJP from India. It is the people's response, it is the people's voice, which you can hear on the street, how they are suffering because of price rise, because of the unemployment, because of economic slowdown, and along with that cronyism, crony capitalism, how 1, 2 business houses, big business houses are making money. We are very clear on that. The people will stand against that mammoth fraud
Sure.
committed by BJP in the last 7-8 years.
Sure, but sorry to
repeat,
interrupt you, Professor Patil,
mammoth
but my
fraud.
question was very simple. You,
Yes.
like you said, that no single party at the moment can challenge the BJP. It has to be a united effort. But then my question was, and coming back to it, would the TMC
Yes.
then join ranks with the Congress and everyone else under Congress being the leader, and TMC and
No,
everyone else playing second
yeah.
fiddle?
Yeah.
Is that something TMC is okay with?
Yeah, I can reverse the question by saying that will the Congress join the hands of TMC and other political parties in fighting the BJP? Look, we are absolutely clear. Anyone, any political formation who is genuinely fighting BJP, Trinamool Congress will support that political party. But I will give a very small example of what the Congress is doing in Delhi and what they are doing in Bengal. Look at the Bengal Congress leader. Despite the fact that they have come down to zero, I repeat, 0 seats in 2021, they are still allying directly, indirectly, even at times directly with BJP in Bengal. Their leader in Bengal, Mr. Ajit Chaudhary, has been continuously deriding our leader, Honorable Chief Minister of this country. Every now and then, ED becomes bad in Delhi when Rahul Gandhi is summoned, but ED is good in Bengal when Mr. Abhishek Banerjee is summoned. What kind of a double standard is this? First, you need to create a principle for opposing the BJP. If ED is bad, ED is vindictive. It is vindictive everywhere. What is in Delhi, or in Maharashtra, or in Bengal. You are supporting BJP when they are raiding our houses, when they are arresting our leader, or harassing our general secretary, even his family. I repeat, even his family was not spared. In the last 5-6 years, Abhishek's family was targeted. Even his 3-year-old son was targeted by Shubhendu Adhikari, BJP leader in Bengal. Today, Amartya Sen is targeted by BJP every other day. They disrespect everyone who has got different political opinion against them. This is what we need to change. And Trinamool Congress,
and which is why united front of the opposition is needed. And Sujata Ball, coming back to what you said and the response that came in from the TMC. Can the Congress continue to say we are going to be the principal opposition party, because many within the opposition, including the TMC, don't see the Congress party as fit to hold that tag, because there are many others who are challenging you electorally?
See, I was told that this is about Bharat Jodo Yatra, but yes, when you're asking this question, let time tell what will happen, because it is for every party to also come together and also realize that the Congress party is a national party and we have voters across the country. Now, no other party can say that they are in that position, right? So, as far as our cadres are concerned, they are across the country, and time will tell who will come together and who will not. So, we will have to wait and watch for that.
Sure.
That's all I can say about that. Yeah.
Sure. And before I get in, Arun Anand, I also want to put in some facts for our viewers, and just to look at the number game really of the kind of parties that were at the Bharat Jodo finale today in Srinagar. And I just want to put out those numbers before I get in Arun Anand as well. And Arun Anand, 23 parties were invited, only 4 turned up, and this is what the number game actually looks like. The Congress has 52 members of parliament in the Lok Sabha. The DMK, which was one of the 4 parties that attended the grand finale or the rally today, have 24. The left has 5. National Conference and the PDP have 3. That brings it to 84. Now, the majority mark in the Lok Sabha is 272. The NDA strength is at 329 as far as 2019 elections are concerned. So, with the parties that want to be with the Congress party, Arun Anand, can they actually manage to put up a formidable front against the BJP?
Poonam, this reminds me of, it's a similar kind of situation which happened in 1983, and one needs to draw, a big lesson from that. Chandrasekhar, who was known as the Young Turk, had taken a similar Bharat Yatra, and he had actually traveled on foot for 6 months for about 4,650 kilometers. And then he was, the president of Janata Party at that time. And that created a lot of buzz in the around the country. And then when in 1984, after when the elections happened, Janata Party contested 207 seats and it only won 10 seats. And that Yatra also was an attempt at that time to bring the whole of opposition together, which was pretty down and out. See, the lesson which has to be drawn from this whole thing is that until and unless you are backed by a strong organizational cadre, which BJP has, you cannot transform any kind of momentum into electoral gains. So there might be a lot of buzz around this thing, and even if all the opposition parties have come together, and as we have seen in the past also, that even when SP and BSP had come together in Uttar Pradesh, the BJP was able to trounce them, because now these votes are not as transferable that if 20 parties will come together, so all the votes will be transferred within each other. That is not so simple. It's a pretty complex situation, and BJP has already countered that. So until and unless, my take on this thing is, whatever the outcome of the yatra, until and unless Congress has a strong organizational cadre, and mind you, there is a difference between being member of the party and being a cadre. You need continuous training program, and you have to have your ideological clarity. And this pyar ki dukan and this thing, these are slogans. This is not ideological framework. So Congress needs to get its ideological roadmap very clear, and it needs to have an organizational cadre, and it is not built overnight or in a span of few months. It takes years to build an organizational cadre. So I think these are the issues which are steering Congress in the place.
Jada Paul, would you agree? Infighting within the Congress is no secret across several other units. So, yes, uniting the country, like the Congress says, was the only aim of Bharat Jodo. Many would suggest, like Arun Anand was also saying, that galvanizing your cadre, putting an end to the infighting in several of these units and putting up a united front, just as Congress in itself, was also a task.
Absolutely not. As there are differences within the party, and I'm not going to go and deny that. But as a party, we always remain united. When it comes to the Bharat Jodo Yatra, every single person from the party, every leader has joined the yatra. Why? Because you might keep finding differences between them, but let me tell you, the differences that exist between leaders of the Bharatiya Janata Party far exceed those that exist anywhere else. In our case, we allow people to talk. They're not leaving the party and then talking badly about it. There are people who leave the party, but then the conditions in which they leave, we know how they do. We have the ED, and like I said, I'm sitting here in Nagaland, and I can see the Bharatiya Janata Party workers out on the street screaming in this very quiet and peaceful state. Why? Because there is fighting amongst them, there is fighting with their allies. So as far as BJP is concerned, it might not be visible, but there is much more fighting. And if that was not the case, you explain to me why we had change of chief ministers in Uttarakhand. Why did we have a chief minister along with the entire cabinet being changed in Gujarat? This is because the
But that seemed to have worked for them in both states.
Yeah.
So isn't that a decision? Then wouldn't you say that they perhaps had infighting and they worked on it and ensured that got them results?
Oh, absolutely not. We know exactly how the ED functions. You know what happened in Gujarat. And Shaina NC just spoke about Gujarat. She forgot about Himachal Pradesh. Why? Because there, they couldn't polarize anybody. There, the Prime Minister, in violation of the Model Code of Conduct, was not doing a road show and having an ambulance pass by again and again. So we know what kind of politics they play. But I think it was a political analyst who was talking when he said that, oh, the cadres have to be there, etc., etc. No, sir, more than the cadres, it is the people, because the people of this country decide who will be in power and who will be out of power. So let's wait, and you will see that the change is happening.
Sure. So it's a wait and watch. Sure. So it's a wait and watch thing. This is going to reap dividends, China and see. Yes, the Congress believes this is going to reap dividends. It's just a matter of time. It's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen, and it is something that is only going to benefit the Congress party.
And also, how did we win Himachal Pradesh and you lost so badly in spite of the Prime Minister calling?
Sure, Sujata Paul, you made your point about Himachal. Let China and respond.
Sujata ji is so right. It is the people of India that will determine who's the victor and who is not, who they should vote for and who they shouldn't. Do understand the Bharatiya Janata Party today has 11 crore active members. Karyakartas in polling booths in the smallest of smallest areas, hilly areas to the Kanyakumari to Kashmir. Today, the kind of mandate given to the Bharatiya Janata Party is unprecedented, and we attribute it to a popular leader. We attribute it to the charisma of Prime Minister Modi. But for the Congress party to believe that it's going to resurrect itself, let me tell you, your ship has sunk. And unfortunately, you cannot see beyond one family. The Bharatiya Janata Party is an aspirational party that gives hope to every Indian. That
You
if
can't
you
see
are here
beyond
to
one man.
serve the people
You can't
as
see beyond one man. You're
if you are
subservient
here
to one
to
man.
serve with
You
a
are
mandate,
enslaved to
the
one man.
mandate being
No
that of
ideology and one man.
delivery of the
Your
schemes that are
politics is
envisaged, that
one
percolate down to the poorest.
personality driven.
Health.
There's no
Look
democracy
at
in your party.
Ayushman Bharat, look at the farmers, and look at the Pradhan
will
Mantri
yes,
Awas
look at the
Yojana, which has
farmers.
touched
Come to
every
the
woman.
Northeast. See
Look
what
at the
the
pension
conditions are.
schemes, look at the Fasal Bima
You want
Yojana,
to
look
see
at
the-
every single
There is nothing
aspect
happening
of
anywhere on
states
the
which
ground.
don't
Nothing happening.
come to incumbency. They are only
This is-
resurrecting their
this
mandate
is the
in a
condition of the
trial
road
tested
right
vision
in the
plan,
middle of
and not
Dimapur,
some
the
divisive
financial
elite that
capital
walking the
of
country with his whole party
Rajasthan.
collapsing
This is
is
what you
proving to
want
be
to-
a Bharat Jodo
Can you
when it's
see-
actually a Congress Todo.
Right? This is your governance. This is your government. No roads anywhere. You talk about infrastructure. Who
You
are
come and see the infrastructure in every part of this country, and you
Yes,
see what the
and-
youth are saying. You see why in
This is
Uttar
my
Pradesh,
home
even
state.
Muslim
This is
women have
my
voted, because this is a
Showing you
conviction
the
of Prime
state
Minister
of
Modi,
the
be it a
right?
triple talaq or an
Sure,
abrogation
Sure. So whether
of
the
Article
BJP has done
70
anything or not,
taken
whether the
by
BJP
the
has done anything or
civil
not, the
code in
people
Can I
name
come
of
in?
the northeastern
It is
states
the
and of this
mandate
country
of
will
the
decide
people of
come
country.
2024. But I'm running out of time, and I want to get in the TMC spokesperson in again as well. And Professor
Yeah.
Mandal, I want to ask you the fact that you also agree that a united opposition is required to take on the BJP come 2024. But the fact that these differences still exist 1 year before the elections, the fact that several of these opposition parties and their leaders harbor national ambitions, do you think that disarray within the opposition ranks is only going to help the BJP?
You see, that is the fascinating part of democracy in India. Differences, diversity. They will remain as it remains in the states. I mean, that is the system of federalism in India that we follow. The principle is very clear. Whoever is strong in the state, they must take on BJP, and later on we can get united. And let me tell you this is not getting much coverage because they belong to northeastern state. TMC is growing leaps and bounds in 2 northeastern states right now by declaring seats, candidates for all the 120 seats in 2 states, Tripura and Meghalaya. Look at the kind of enthusiasm that people of Meghalaya had a few days back when both Abhishek Banerjee and Mamata Banerjee went there and addressed the crowd. These are not getting proper coverage in the national media because Northeast remains in that way again completely cut off from the mainstream media glare. And talking about development, you did not do anything in Meghalaya. You did not do anything in Tripura. In fact, incidentally, you had to change the chief minister in Tripura midway because of his number. Because he was getting extremely popular. And in both the states, I believe TMC will do very well. If not in Meghalaya, we are going to form government within one month or so. You will just see.
So it's fight at the state level first, and then we'll decide who takes on the BJP as the leader of the opposition centrally. That seems to be the approach as far as some of the opposition parties are concerned. Sorry, Shana NC, I'm running completely out of time. Yes, go ahead.
Just 10 seconds.
Yes,
all these people who say that you're changing chief ministers are being changed. That's the beauty of the Bharatiya Janata Party, where disciplined cadre that you can change all ministers and still the party will function and deliver on ground as per promise.
Sure,
Not
and it's
relying
really for
on
the
one
people of this
person,
country
one
and those
leader,
respective
one
states to
individual.
decide whether or not changing
Let
chief ministers
us
is a
decide
tactic
for
to
our own
hide their
party,
failures
not for
or
yours.
something that seems to have succeeded for the party. But I leave it at that, and I thank all my panelists for joining us here on this broadcast. We are shifting focus now to the other big debate that we're having here, and that is a free run that seems to be given to pro-Khalistan sympathizers in Australia.
Ever since Sikhs for Justice announced this so-called referendum, we have been drawing the attention of the Australian authorities to the potential for violence and for sowing disharmony.
Now, after Canada and United Kingdom, pro-Khalistani propaganda machine seems to have shifted focus to Australia. In Melbourne yesterday, Indian students who were carrying the tricolour were attacked mercilessly by pro-Khalistani elements. Remember, yesterday was a day when a Seek for Justice fueled referendum was being held in Melbourne. An organisation that is banned in India is desperately holding a completely illegal, non-binding referendum in Australia after it made similar such attempts across Canada. Several were left injured in that attack, which saw men using swords and wooden sticks with impunity in public spaces. Now, the Indian High Commissioner to Australia met with the Premier of Victoria and discussed this very growing threat from the extremist Khalistani groups. But is there a go slow by the Australian authorities to take action and set an example? Now, the Hindu population in Australia stands at over 600,000 as per the 2021 census. Is that not a large enough community for Australia to pay heed to? Is the Indian community a victim of systems apathy and ignorance in Australia? And are Khalistan backers and propagandists getting a free run? Now, like me, many are asking that question, and here's why. Let me tell you that in 3 weeks, we've seen at least 4 different attacks that have taken place, beginning with the attack on a temple, which was the Bap Swaminarayan temple in Mill Park on the 12th of January. 4 days later, on the 16th of January, we saw an attack on another temple. This time, it was the Sri Shiva Vishnu temple in Melbourne itself on the outskirts. On Jan 23rd, the famous ISKCON temple came under attack. We saw pro-Khalistan graffiti that was on the walls of that particular temple. This happened in Albert Park in Melbourne. And yesterday, we saw a complete drama unfold there, ruckus and violence on the streets of Melbourne in Fed Square, where Indians were attacked with swords and wooden sticks. Now, this attack in Melbourne was not out of the blue. There were many warning signs that went unseen, cries for help that went unheard, and inaction in the 3 cases of vandalism of temples that perhaps emboldened these extremist elements. Hindu groups in Australia have now confirmed to us this sequence of events and how exactly they've been flagging all of this off to the Australian authorities. Now, these are images of on a poster of 2 of those who were executed for Indira Gandhi's murder, for her assassination. This is a poster that came up in Melbourne across social media, was pasted in public places as well. There was a car rally that called for a referendum for Khalistan. This happened around the same time the second temple was vandalized. That happened right after this car rally was held by pro-Khalistani sympathizers. Then there was another poster that came up in which you had Bindranwale calling for a separate state ahead of the referendum that was held again yesterday. There were several threats that were made on social media as well by pro-Khalistani sympathizers to the diaspora there. All of this has been happening, gaining momentum, especially in the last couple of weeks in Australia. All of this has happened. There were letters that have been written to the police, to the authorities in Australia. Unfortunately, nothing seems to have done, which is why we saw the kind of scenes yesterday at Fed Square. So the big question we're asking here on Plain Speak is that even as we see this Khalistan propaganda spread in Australia, is there no political will to rein in this anti-India narrative? RP Singh of the BJP joins us on this broadcast, Senior Fellow of the ORF, Sushant Sareen also with me. But I want to ask my first question to G. Parthasarathy, who was also a former ambassador to Australia and knows the country, the kind of inner workings there as well. And Mr. Parthasarathy, we've seen the Indian High Commission, there are envoys repeatedly tell us that we have raised the issue with the counterparts there. Why then do you think nothing seems to change?
Look, what normally from the time I've been there, the Sikh community has been ideal citizens of India, ideal representatives of India. Things have been changing with the passage of time. And to my mind, I think there is a substantial sort of infiltration of a Sikh community from Canada, which is the haven of terrorists. Now, with regard to what has happened here, my own hunch is they are being incited by the Khalistani terrorists from Canada, from the Sikh community, though there could be now with passage of time many more who have entered. So first, the question of identity. Most important, I think, there should be a very candid exchange with the Australians. They will take the view that this was unless they break the peace or have some violence, the police can't intervene. My view is that is the view they will take. But the most important thing, therefore, now becomes dealing with this diplomatically and politically. I think Australians should be left in no doubt that there will be a price paid if they don't fall in line and stop this, because it is in effect moves to incite violence in India. I would also suggest that the need to keep a very close eye or restrict the entry of Khalistanis from Canada. They are the people who incite and they are the people who are organized for this, and they have the money. Australia, as I said, my understanding of the Sikh population there is about 210,000, but 91,000 live in Melbourne. The Sikh communities association with Melbourne goes back a long time, though numbers are increasing in Sydney also. So it is going to be a tough diplomatic exercise because these people will be acting ostensibly peacefully. The others can't intervene. So unless they preach violence, and in this case, people from the other side protesting, the other Canadian Indians, including Sikhs, have protested against this. They have been beaten up by these gundas there. So I think it's up to the High Commission now, and we have also a consulate there, an honorary consul earlier, perhaps a consul general now, to take this up continuously. It's important in Australia that these things the state governments act on, federal government passes it on, but once instructions come from Canberra.
Yes.
And my own dealing with the Australians means, they'll take it easy. I think we have ways of impressing.
Sure, and that's really the worry. So we perhaps need to, pile on that pressure. And RP Singh, I would like...
Absolutely.
Yes, and RP Singh, perhaps that's something that we would like to see both from the diaspora side as well as the people here in the country. That, yes, we have seen our representatives there in Australia raise the issue with their counterparts, but perhaps it's time that New Delhi tightens the screws.
Yes, it should. That needs to be done urgently.
Yes.
And
RP
you
Singh,
should
go
leave
ahead.
them in no doubts.
Yes. Yes, RP Singh, go
otherwise
ahead.
The Australians...
I'll get you in, Mr. Parthasarathy. I need to get in the other panelists as well. RP Singh, go ahead, please.
Well, I 100% go by what Mr. Parthasarathy is saying, that the screws need to be tightened, and the message has to be very clear that yes, we can't take this anymore, and then this is happening ongoingly and quite often. This is the fourth time which has happened in last month and a half. Earlier, 3 temples were vandalized, and now public place. When I say public place, land, some place owned by the government was given for referendum. In spite of there was protest by the other organizations that you can lease or give the space for referendum. And then Australian government has to understand that if they keep snakes in their backyard, tomorrow they will come back to them only. I mean, it's not that they are going to harm us only, but they are going to harm Australians also. So, and also that these people are only doing it for a media grab. They're just doing it because they want to highlight the issue in the media. On ground in India or in Punjab, they have no ground as such. I mean, I don't see any support they have in India.
Sure.
But yes, it is a bad publicity. It's only also, and then it radicalizes the youth abroad. And then when they connect to the youth in India, they further try to pass on that message here also. So we are hopeful that the Australian government will check this and ensure that this doesn't happen again. And also the way the Indians carrying the national flag were beaten, and then I've been told 5 of them have been seriously injured and hospitalized also. So that also has to be taken care, and the due action against whoever were involved in the violence should be checked.
Sure. And a message needs to be sent, Sushant Sareen. That's more important because we've had the High Commissioner here in India condemn it. Statements have been issued after the vandalism of these temples as well. But that's all that we have really seen. It's just statements and condemnation. Nothing in terms of action, because no arrests have been made as far as the anti-India or anti-Hindu graffiti that was seen in either of those three temples.
Yeah, and that's precisely what the problem is, isn't it? You see, in the case, I agree with what Ambassador Parthasarathi is saying, that, the Australians and rest of the West have their own, political system. And if there's a peaceful protest or a peaceful activity, they can't really interfere in it. But this was not peaceful. This was clearly a violent, action by the Khalistanis, who incidentally give the Sikh community a very bad name. In fact, they're spoiling the image of the Sikhs around the world to a point where I fear that if this carries on, entry for Sikhs will be banned in many of these countries, or they will not be given visas to enter many countries because of law and order issues. But that's something which the community has to take up. But clearly, I think the Australians have been remiss. I can understand that happening in Canada, where you have, Khalistanis in the cabinet of Justin Trudeau, but this kind of a thing happening in Australia is a little surprising, and I must say disappointing. And I don't think we should soft pedal this issue. We should soft pedal this issue because people of Indian diaspora, their lives and their liberty is in danger in these kind of places. And I think we need to take it up strongly. And I suspect that we haven't taken it up as strongly as we should have. But having said that, I must also say that I think the government of India is living in denial. I say this with all caution, because for example, that this kind of stuff is happening in many of these countries. The people who are behind this, many of the people who are the so-called stormtroopers of the Khalistanis, are guys who have immigrated from India. They still have properties and families in India, right? Number one. Number two, many of these fellows who are even citizens of Australia have been given OCI cards. What prevents the Indian authorities to photograph all these fellows, have a database ready, and cancel all their OCI cards? Why has the government of India not brought back the blacklist? See, when the blacklists were removed, there was a good reason for it. You were reaching out.
Yes.
But clearly, just like what has happened with the Pakistanis on TTP, that is happening with us on Khalistanis. We gave them a long rope and we are hanging ourselves in it. So we need to bring back the backlist. We need to scrap the OCI cards, and we need to have some system of, catching these fellows or at least penalizing them by, impounding their properties out here.
Sure.
By taking action against them, making it very expensive for these guys.
And that perhaps would be India leading by example, and then we can perhaps...
What we hear from Sardar R.P. Singh is that, but there is some noise happening. Even in Punjab, we are in denial. Under the Aam Aadmi Party government, things have gone from bad to worse. It was bad under the Congress government. It's even gone from bad to worse. And we are living in denial. I've got a Khalistani fellow who has been elected to the Parliament of India,
yes.
and we are still in denial. So I think the sooner the government of India gets out of this denial, the safer we will be. Otherwise, I have been saying this and I will say it again, we are going back to the late 80s and the early 90s.
Absolutely, and India perhaps should be leading by example, and that is how we can tighten the screws on other governments, because these kind of referendums that are being held, G. Parthasarathy, have been held in UK and Canada as well. They're illegal, they're non-binding. It's held by an organization that is banned here in India. And the Indian Australian population of the diaspora is not a scarce population in Australia. They account for about 3%, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, no, 91,000 is the official Australian figure, but with the large numbers 210,000, with 91,000, as I said, in and around Melbourne, up there, so across the province. So I think a couple of things that go along with what Sushant says with regard to what we need to do in India. I think we should hold up their OCI cards if anyone has it, put them on a blacklist for travel to India, and with regard to the we would also, I think, have to tell the Australians to keep a close watch on the Pakistani High Commission there, because the Pakistanis do have a known record of fiddling with Khalistanis across the world.
Yes.
And that sort of action, but I think at a certain stage, diplomatically at a high level, it has to be taken up with the Australians. I know Australians sometimes tend to become over moralistic, lecturing to others on their nuclear weapons programs.
Yes.
But that we now have a very good relationship. We are members both of the Quad. And I think it would be best if it is taken up at the highest level.
Absolutely, and
whenever
that
the two
perhaps
prime
is the need
ministers
of the
have a
hour so that
cricket
we
meet.
don't see any more such attacks in the future.
Yeah,
We've
yeah,
already
yeah.
seen
No,
4 in 3 weeks, and that's really where that should really where our threshold should be for now New Delhi to perhaps intervene. I'm running out of time, but I thank you all gentlemen for joining us here on this broadcast with your perspective. We are slipping into a quick break here on this edition, but Plain Speak continues on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
That he believes that if the government wanted to, and many have been arguing this as well, including the likes of a former Ministry External Affairs Secretary, Mr. Kaju, that the government should have just ignored this. This is a G20 year. You expect these kind of attacks. You don't have to swat a fly every time a fly comes past you. But you believe, Abhijit, that the government is doing this because it suits them politically. And every time, as I outlined in 2015 and 2020, numerous instances where such potentially polarizing issues came up, and it ultimately helped the BJP and helped Mr. Modi electorally. So you believe that this is being actively kept because the government also somewhere politically benefits. The only thing that's sort of jarring for me is this is a G20 year. This is the year when India is supposed to, it's like a coming out party. India showing confidence, India showing power, it's projecting power. Doesn't this entire episode betray nervousness?
This was like a full toss Zaka bolt to the BJP and the Modi government. Maybe unintentionally by the BBC, I think we are giving too much. Reading too much into the fact that BBC may be targeting Modi. They may actually being, after Rishi Sunak in a way, because he is Hindu. There's been a fair bit of unease in the UK, but that's another matter. The thing is that this actually obviously helps the BJP every time Gujarat riots comes up, because we have seen that in the 12 years after the riots, UPA ruled. They tried, they went relentlessly after Mr. Modi. They failed to indict him. It was a war fought through innuendo, conspiracy theories, everything but facts, which proves that Mr. Modi is guilty. The Supreme Court has given its verdict. There is no way that they can win. And also, what happened, the whole, the case after 2002, it constantly told the mass Hindu psyche that one man is being targeted relentlessly because because he is because there is Muslim appeasement in play. So if every time this comes up, why is the Congress and other opposition not hitting the streets? Why are they fighting the proxy war through students and campuses? That is because they dare not. They know that it is going to further damage them, which is why they are fighting this through campuses, hoping that at least the student community can be sort of there can be some kind of stir brought among the student community. It's not going to happen. It gives BJP certainly an electoral advantage. A documentary by BBC could have just been in the headline for half a day and disappeared.
Dr. Paranjpe, let me start with you first, because there seems to be some kind of a recurring theme or a pattern here where it seems to be the same set of campuses: JNU, Jamia, Presidency Calcutta, Hyderabad Central University, whether it was the anti-CAA protests or now this BBC documentary. And why it's curious is because while there's so much of storm around this documentary inside these campuses, outside, out on the streets, people either don't know or don't really particularly care.
Absolutely. In fact, I want to use your channel to appeal to students as well as caution them, especially the innocent ones, the sincere students in these universities, not really to be seduced by this propaganda, because the hardcore cadres of certain political outfits are organizing these protests, and many an innocent student is going to get misled. This is certainly not a question of free speech. I've written a whole book on what happened in JNU. So there is a very big, I don't want to use the word conspiracy, but there is an attempt to create yet another student movement against the Modi Sarkar, against BJP, and they're the same actors. In fact, I might tell you that at the beginning of this year, I got a telephone call from somebody, I can't mention my source here, but from abroad, and they said, you know, Makran, just watch as the year progresses. One after one after one, there's going to be bombshells. Things are going to be put out there to discredit this government and discredit India as well. So if I were an investigative journalist, which I'm not, I'm an academic, I'm an intellectual, I would like to delve into this whole chain of events, this whole thread, you know, what is it that is going around and who's funding it, who's behind it? And again, I must say that I want to tell my student friends that what is screened and not screened in a university campus depends on the university administration. The JNU administration put out an advisory. At your own peril, you will defy the administration because they can take action against you. So it's not worth it. In fact, I don't tell any student not to see anything. If you want to see the film, see it in your own room. It's not banned as far as I know. If you want to see it on your phone or whatever laptop, go and see it. Make up your own mind. But to join this kind of insidious seeming protest, it's not even a protest, is to jeopardize their future, I believe, and their career. And they should not be, I think, seduced by the appeal of such propaganda in the first place.
So, Sanjay Jha, you know, we've seen this in 2015 when the JNU protests happened. We've seen this again in 2020 when the anti-CAA protests essentially started from these campuses and then spread to Shaheen Bagh. Every time this has happened, it has helped Mr. Modi and rally his base. It has riled up his base. A lot of his supporters feel that this is some kind of vested propaganda. This is some kind of a conspiracy. There are people out there who are trying to get him, and it has helped him electorally. You look at the election victories in those years, it has always overwhelmingly been in favor of the BJP. Do you reckon that the fact that this story, and this is what I find curious again, there's so much of a storm in some of these campuses.
Welcome back. Let's now get you a quick roundup of what else has made news here in the country and outside as well. Prime Minister Modi visited Rajghat and paid floral tributes to Mahatma Gandhi on his death anniversary today. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla and Delhi's Lieutenant Governor Vinay Kumar Saxena were also present. They too paid their tributes. Centre had called for an all-party meeting ahead of the budget session, which begins tomorrow. According to sources, Trinamool Congress raised the issue of the ban on the BBC documentary on Prime Minister Modi. YSR Congress demanded a nationwide caste-based economic census at the meeting. Prominent singer Kailash Kher allegedly faced heckling at a concert in Karnataka's Hampi for not singing any Kannada song. A bottle was thrown at him from the crowd that was angry with the singer for only singing Hindi songs. 2 accused have now been arrested. Indian women's cricket team scripts history by winning the inaugural Under-19 World Cup title. India beat England by 7 wickets in the T20 World Cup final yesterday. BCCI Secretary Jai Shah announced a prize of 5 crore rupees for the women's Under-19 cricket team and the support staff. The BBC documentary storm rages on. Indian diaspora protested in front of the BBC headquarters in London. The diaspora staged a massive stir and alleged that BBC documentary on Prime Minister Modi is a propaganda and malicious act against the entire country. Drones attacked an Iranian defense factory in the central city of Isfahan. According to Iran's defense ministry, the attack occurred late Saturday night and caused minor damage to a rooftop. Ministry further said that 3 drones were shot down by Iranian air defenses. Ministry did not reveal who was suspected of carrying out this attack. Over 32 were killed and 100 were injured after a blast took place at a mosque in Pakistan's Peshawar. Following the explosion, a portion of the building collapsed and several people standing in the front row during prayers were believed to be under the rubble. Rescue operations are still underway. So far, no group has claimed any responsibility.
There's a state of emergency at hospitals in that area of the city of Peshawar, and that hospitals are asking for blood donations because there is a fear, according to law enforcement officials that we've spoken to, that this number is going to increase. There have been reports of the entire wall of the mosque falling in, and you have to understand that when people are praying at the mosque, they're all lined up side by side. So we're not sure yet. We haven't confirmed what has caused this blast.
Russia continues to rain missiles on Ukraine. A Russian missile hit an apartment building in Kharkiv, which is the second largest city in Ukraine. 1 person was killed and 3 others were injured. Huge crowds were seen celebrating in Philadelphia after NFL Philadelphia team defeated San Francisco in the NFC Championship game. The win seconds the Eagles to the Super Bowl. Shah Rukh Khan's Pathaan script's history earns over 500 crore rupees in just 5 days. In a news conference, SRK thanked the audience for their immense love and support.
People in media for supporting the film so much, in spite of the fact that there might have been things that could have curtailed the happy release of this film. I just want to say there's so much love from all sides, and we can never show enough gratefulness. Not only us, the whole film industry. This is for John, myself, Deepika, Siddharth, Adi, everybody involved in the film industry, honestly. और मैं सबके behalf पे कहूँगा कि this is an experience which is still not sunk in.
And it's not just audiences here in India, but Pathaan fever has gripped Australian cricketer David Warner as well. Take a look at how he shared movie Pathaan's review, leaving you with those visuals.
You're watching News Epicenter with me, Maria Shakil. After 3,500 kilometers and 145 days, the grand old party's Bharat Jodo Yatra has come to an end. The finale included a flag hoisting at the Congress party headquarters in Srinagar by Congress MP Rahul Gandhi, the man spearheading the Yatra, and Congress chief Mallikarjun Kharge. There was also a mega rally, which was earlier projected as a show of strength ahead of the 2024 general elections. But out of 21 opposition parties invited for the finale, only the DMK, NCP, PDP, Left and NC were present. The BJP hit out at Rahul Gandhi, calling the Yatra a non-starter on the road to 2024. The BJP also highlighted that the abrogation of Article 370, which the Congress opposed, was the real Bharat Jodo mission as it united the new union territory with the Indian constitution. But one cannot deny that there has been a shift in the image of Rahul Gandhi, who was once seen as a reluctant politician. In this political campaign, despite the controversies, he has not parachuted in and out, but has maintained a momentum and narrative against the BJP. But the question remains, can the Yatra be converted into votes and boost Congress workers to take on the well-oiled election machine of the BJP? 2023 will see 9 state elections on the road to 2024. Can this Yatra deliver electorally beyond optics?